Hello and welcome to the Quebber channel. I am Jason, your host. Now the video is going to be a bit glitchy because I am downloading a large amount of items through wireless at the moment to my ThinkPad. It's 3:12 AM and I feel so happy today. Oh my god. You all know the stress and hassle I've been going through for the last week and a bit trying to sort out the computers. Computers are not a hobby for me. Computers are not a game for me. They're part of my core coping strategies, and when my computers are not right, things go a bit weird. But everything is at peace. You may think, oh my god, he's up at 3 o'clock. Yes, but I went to bed at 10 p.m. and I woke up at midnight for about 15 seconds and fell back asleep. And I woke up at 2:43. If you watched my stream, you would have seen I was falling asleep. Basically, I was so worn out because for a week I had been hardly sleeping. Now, I don't sleep often. Anyway, I don't follow the norms. My brain, if I wake up at any point in time for any reason, it's a roll of the dice to see whether or not I will get back to sleep. If my brain's got anything going on, then I will not get back to sleep. So some nights I'd go back to bed at 10 p.m. I'd wake up at 11:30 11:30 p.m. and that's all the sleep I'd get. Other nights I would try to wear myself out, which is pretty much impossible, and stay up till like 4 a.m. and then catch another 2 hours sleep. And then I'd have a couple of naps during the day to keep myself functioning. But these naps were like an hour at the most. Oh. I'm going to try not to jinx it, but everything is working perfectly with my computers at the moment. Everything is a sea of calm and happiness and wonderfulness. How did I finally fix everything? Well, I was, as of yesterday, had everything back set up the way it used to be, and so my brain was just looking at my case, which is here, which is a glass-sided case, and I saw my 3090 inside it, and I thought, why don't I take the 3090 out of my case and put it inside the eGPU? Seeing as most of the problems I'm having with the ThinkPad is this kind of inefficiency and connection of trying to use the 7900 XT as an AI card, why don't I remove that issue from the problem? Why don't I use my 3090 for what it was meant for, VR? Why don't I put it inside the eGPU, connect it all up with the ThinkPad, and see if I can get that to work? Of course, this wasn't easy. That eGPU, it's not meant. In fact, on all its sites, it will say, "No, this won't fit. No, this won't fit. No, this won't fit." 3090 is a big card, it's a giant card. How can it fit? Well, the measurements that they give you on the website are them being very, very conservative. The 3090 for the win actually does fit in. The only downside is it's not, the power supply isn't perfect for it. So the power supply's only got two connectors, and the actual, each 3090 needs 3 connectors. So I had to split it, but even though it's only a 550 watt power supply in there, that's more than enough to run a 3090, because the standard recommendation for a 3090 is a 750 watt power supply. But that's in a computer system with a motherboard and everything else drawing on that power supply. The eGPU only has to power one thing, the graphics card. So, yeah, I put it in, it just about fit, and turned it on, and it worked. I've tested up to 23 gigabytes VRAM models, and they run really fast. So the ThinkPad is now the NAS and doing everything. I'm just downloading some software for it. What about the 7900X? Well, I plugged it into this computer and I thought, okay, as long as I don't try to use it for anything to do with AI, it should work. So I plugged it in, connected it all up. Games worked, OBS worked. I managed to tweak everything. Well, something weird happened. I think because I've swapped out graphics cards quite a few times, Windows decided, oh, this is a different computer, and I had to re-register stuff in it. It was weird. Usually it's only the motherboard that does that, but this time it was the graphics card. Probably because I've swapped out so many times. And so the 7900 is sitting in the place of the 3090. And I've tried it with my most powerful games. I've tried everything. My VR works now that I know to have it at 120 Hz. And I went into VRchat to test it, and I was getting 120 FPS. And everything looked fine, everything works. And that was about, I think it was 5 PM last night, when I had put everything together and everything was working. And then I decided to do a little stream. Actually, no, it was a bit later. It was about probably more like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I knew my body was shutting down. My body was like, fuck, you need sleep. It's funny, that stream, I could barely keep my eyes open. I just decided to do my Star Trek Online and do a bit of Vampire Survivors just to test a few things, to stress, do a bit of pushing of the card and seeing how much of the CPU was being used and whether or not the AMD drivers for OBS were working okay. And by the end of the stream, I was fucking nodding off in my seat. I thought, this works. Now, my brain is at peace. All the hecticness of this week, all the burnout of trying to get everything working, all the problems. I now have the main computer here, and right next to it I have the NAS. I may need to sort out some of the audio, the fan noise and that, and streamline the fan protocols, but apart from that, I'm at peace. It's like the moment I got everything back to normal, because for about a week my coping strategies and that were totally fucked. So even though I woke up at 3 a.m, I had more sleep last night, almost 5 hours sleep, compared for the entire of the week. It's kind of peaceful now. That was an example this last week and a bit of a bad turn of events when my computer stuff and everything is up in the air. Wasn't dangerous, even though it was running me ragged, because the lack of sleep has a knock-on effect. It will affect my energy to cope with everything else. But my mind is at peace. I have to solve problems before I can get back to normal. This is why it's so important that I don't trigger myself in this way. But it wasn't Brit's fault, or anybody's fault. There's been a low-level hum in my brain, is the only way to describe it, for the months where I've been trying to figure out how to do an AI server and my gaming computer and not have too many problems, and to get my NAS and everything else working together in a permanent solution. And so it's almost like everything has become, it's almost like I'm walking on a lovely quiet beach, breathing in the calm sea air and listening to the seagulls, and my brain's like, yay, it's just mellow and back to, I won't say normal, but as normal as I get. See, a normal person can put aside something like this and move to something else. But when these things that drive me kick in, especially when it's to do with my affinity, technology and everything, I run the ragged edge. And I am so happy that I sorted it out in the end. Because this is the problem. When this kind of shit happens, I don't have a choice of just saying, oh, I'll leave it for now. This is part of why I'm classed as severely disabled. If my brain latches onto something, then no matter what I want, no matter how much my rationale can see things going badly, I've got to find a way to solve this problem. Life can't move on. I can't do normal things. I was becoming constipated in there. Why? Because I wasn't going to toilet. Because my entire existence was based on, got to fix the setup. The setup's got to be fixed. Can't do anything else until the setup is fixed. When I look around my room, there's little bits and pieces here and there, like there's some letters out that shouldn't be out. There's then my desk's a little bit more messy than it should be, and my desk over there's got some stuff out, like the my lineless screwdriver because the amount of times I've took things apart. But it feels so peaceful now. I've solved the problem. I've solved the challenge. Yes, there will be other times. But this is why I have so many coping strategies. This was an unusual situation because this was part of my core computer systems under threat. My core coping skills was under threat. This is why I have backups. And this is why it's so important that I have all these coping strategies. Because I need 3 or 4 or 5 hours sleep. I need those hours to have the energy to cope with all the other shit that my brain will throw at me all day. I was going to go to Munchies tonight and just do one song on that, but I went into testing and I realised that it wasn't fully on tonight, that Manny wasn't feeling well. And I thought I could go there, but my brain just wants to do a vlog and let people know I'm okay and I'm not on the ragged edge at the moment. Well, it's been an interesting start to the new year. I've got to rebalance the budget and everything else because I haven't done that yet because my brain was elsewhere. I'm just moving a few things on my desktop. I put a new an old wallpaper that I was using on something else, up, and just a few minor bits and pieces of tweakiness. I burned through. I would say that the only thing that kept me going this week was that I burnt through 3 books on my Audible. That was like my final coping strategy. Everything I was doing on the computer, everything I was trying to fix in, instead I had the Audible book going in the background, listening to. Of course, that means I've burnt through a few of my books before. I usually listen to my Audible books about 4 to 5 hours a day. This week, I was more like listening to, I would say, 18 to 20 hours a day of it just to keep myself functional. This is why I have so many audiobooks as a backup. This is why I have everything I've got set up in the way I do. I am never without a backup of a coping strategy. And even though this computer system over the year, because it's got a 3090 in the eGPU, is going to be using more power than my normal NAS. I used to have a NAS, a Plex, and an AI server set up So this one in total is using less than all three of them. And it's less thermal output because it's the ThinkPad, and the eGPU is only going to be used when I'm doing AI and when I'm asking a question of it. I feel so peaceful. It's interesting. I can get back to normal. My normal. I need to clean up my place and set everything out and get things back in their position where they're supposed to be. Hello, dear Bertie. You falling asleep? Pretty cold this weekend. We're around 0 at the moment outside. What's the temperature in here? I have no idea, because my temperature gauge is over there instead of being over here where it's supposed to be. But I don't mind. I'm so mellow now after this entire week of craziness. This is how it goes. Yay. I even collapsed into the spare bedroom for 30 minutes naps during this week instead of getting out my sofa bed. I don't like sleeping on a normal bed anymore. It just feels... It's always been hard for me to sleep on a normal bed. But this is not a normal bed. This is a futon. A really nice futon. Doggy is licking his paws. I'm wondering, why the hell are you awake at this time in the morning? And I am just happy. So yeah, happy-go-lucky. Take care, everyone, and have a splendiferous day. All is well in the world for me.